Like me, for example, I cannot be on TikTok all the time.
So this creator is essentially talking about burnout, protecting your mental health, and in the lens of the book talk community or the author community, not comparing yourself to others because, you know, you set yourself up for failure that way. Setting realistic and attainable goals will carry you much further. Plus, everyone else has their own lives, different circumstances that lead to them being able to do what they do. And just because you might publish one book a year or every couple years is nothing that you should kick yourself for. And sure, some people release quality books in rapid release 5 to 10 a year, but they are few and far between, and there's usually circumstances that lead them to being able to do that, such as from being more affluent and having better access to time, being like myself, where I don't have any responsibilities. I'm a single man without any dependents. Not only that, I live in a very rural community. So we'll use my progress as a sort of reference point. So in the last 15 ish months, I published this book, this book, this book, and this book. Coming up soon is this book and this book. Now, granted, these are all short story novellas, about 200 ish pages in length. So I'm able to move a little bit more quickly in that regard. It's also much less expensive for me to hire editors and all that shit. But on top of that, I manage 5 TikTok accounts, just started a Patreon, link in profile, an Instagram account, and by the way, look at the amount of posts that I've done, a YouTube channel, look at how many videos I've uploaded, pre scheduled well into next year, and a second writing specific YouTube channel that I started. Again, published well into next year. Then there's also the time commitment of replying to comments and everything to do with social media, scrolling through all by yourself, and you know, it's a good time waster. So I'm really effective at time management. It's one of my biggest skill sets. I know where every second in the day goes, and I'm highly energetic, mostly because I get cluster headaches. So when I don't have a headache, I get a burst of adrenaline and energy. So I've managed to get it to about 2 hours a day and be pretty consistent. Reply to every comment that I can. Sometimes it's hard when you get videos that go viral, you just let it go. But for the most part, you listen to you and your body and you do what you're able to do. Like me, I'm a bit tenacious to say the least. One way or another, I'm going to be successful even if I have to blunt force my way in. But that's easy for me to say with, no kids and stuff. I don't have a family. I don't have all that other stuff weighing me down. You just go work, come home, write instead of going out, which is really easy to do in a small town because unless you want to get drunk, there's nothing else to do. And I don't drink. Now, I do a lot of political content and stuff as well, which can be very draining on your mental health. And day after day with death threats and people calling you names and whatever, you know the nature of politics. It can wear thin on you, and it's just like you're constantly focused on the negative. And I feel that like writing and reading is what made you choose this as a career path. So you should try to keep it as fun as possible. Which is why, for one, I made the decision that I did to keep my writing and my writing niches separate. Do it during my own time to my leisure and when I enjoy it. Because if I had to focus on it and I was dependent upon it for income and all that, I would be stressed as hell. Because I've had months where you don't get any sales and then all of a sudden you get ridiculous sales, especially for something like TikTok, which is good for two things: a sense of community and the friends and stuff that you make on this app, and it can be wonderful. But at the same time, it's an outreach platform, so it's designed to get your video out to as many new eyes as possible. So the people that follow you might not necessarily see every video if, mention what you want to mention in one video because they're probably not going to see the next one or the part two unless they specifically go looking for it. And I've read a lot of books. I haven't read yours yet, although it is in my Kindle. But if you only manage to get one, maybe 2 books out a year, that's freaking phenomenal, especially when you consider the fact that I can't remember the statistic, but it's something like this. 97% of those that set out to write a book never actually finish. And amongst that, an even smaller percentage publish, and then a smaller percentage of that publish a second book. So you are already well ahead of most people, and you should be proud of it. So I've accomplished a lot in the last 2 years, a lot in the last 4 years. I wouldn't even recognize myself when I was younger. But even still, as relentless as I've been, you probably have a stronger sense of community than I do, and our platforms aren't that much different. But I don't typically target to other readers and stuff. I decided not to go into the book talk kind of space, and I focus on my books being short story novellas that are, 200 pages in length with bold font. People that typically don't read my books are easily digestible and can make the person that's not used to reading it in a night, feel really good about themselves and probably read more. Hopefully my second book. But I'm also looking to diversify my income and not solely rely on writing. So I've got the Patreon and the YouTube, you got the AdSense, all that stuff. Your route is probably much more reliably stable than mine. But again, when it says to like your mental health, I find this stuff easy because I thoroughly enjoy it. I like making videos. But the typical things that exist in the author circles and stuff, like going book signings, giveaways, all that stuff, I find incredibly annoying, and I don't want to do it. So I flat out refuse to. I did one book signing, and it was good, but it wasted my entire day, and I just had to sit there and sign my name with my, third graders' penmanship. And there are plenty of authors that have seen success in those kind of things. And with something like Kickstarter, like, it's just not for me. It's way too much work and it would damage my mental health. So I'm just not doing it. Like, you have to provide all these perks and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, but like, then you have 1,000 people you got to give certain perks to. Like, that's just a lot of work. Whereas me, whether it's talking, reading, whatever, I love the art of communication. So to me, all this work that I put in isn't work. It's what I'd be choosing to do in my free time anyway. But if I had to do it, I don't know if I'd get 1/5 of what I've gotten done. So don't be hard on yourself. Take your journey whatever way you want to and move at your own pace. And writing 10 words in a day is just as valid as writing 2,500. Anyway, yeah. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't burn yourself out. The fact that you even accomplished what you have is impressive. Most people never will. And if I'm being honest, like 90% of why I am the way that I am is because someone once said to me, you can't be an author as a career choice. So, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. And sure, it's worked out. Nickel and dime in my way there, but so what? From all my time on social media, what I've realized is the most important is authenticity and people being able to relate to you and see the genuine you, see your passions and the things that make you energetic. That is what sells books. And to be honest, like, most indie authors don't make that much money. Most books don't make that much money. And when you get past that threshold, because the vast majority, I think, sell 300 copies in their entire lifetime, when you get past that, you double it, you triple it. You write the next book because you feel good about yourself. You're not the average. But at the same time, your first couple books probably gonna flop because there's so much in the publishing industry and everything else that, trial and error. Like, for example, pre-orders and that kind of stuff and doing promotions before the book's out. I'm too lazy to do that. So I just quietly release and then I'm like, hey, my book's available. And whoever buys it, buys it. 5,000 true fans giving me $20 every year. That's all I need. And that takes time.